what's the odds? What's the odds of me being in Alabama and some racially motivated shit pops off? And sure enough, on this past Saturday night, which was what, August 5th, at the Montgomery Riverfront, there was a brawl. A black man who was just doing his job, a city worker, asking white folk to move their boat so another boat can come in, a bigger boat can come in so it can dock and people could go on their way. He asked them to move. And what we've come to know with white supremacy, whiteness, when you mix alcohol, even though, they say, what they say, alcohol, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart or something like that. Instead of complying, because that's the type of language that we use when we're talking about black folk and the police, right? Why didn't you just comply? Why didn't you just comply? So instead of just complying and following the rules, they decided to physically assault this gentleman, who again was simply doing his job. But lo and behold, the video that I was watching, I heard a sister say, "Somebody help that brother." And that was kind of like the Meteor Man call, because we're not going to use Batman or nothing like that. We know our original superhero for black folk of a certain age was Meteor Man. I ain't know about Black Panther. I didn't know about Green Lantern being black. I ain't know about none of that. But I knew about Robert Townsend. I knew about Meteor Man. I knew about Luther Vandross, Lufa, being a bad guy. I knew about another bad creation, getting a dance on in the film Meteor Man. It's funny, I saw Robert Townsend post that this is the 30-year anniversary of Meteor Man. And if you haven't watched it, I'm not going to say your black card is going to get revoked. But I do think it's worth your while to watch it. You get to see Robert Goulier? Something like that? Robert Guillaume. Yeah, Robert Guillaume. You get to see, oh man, now their name's starting to escape me. You just get to see a whole lot of black celebrities. You get to see Tiny Lister, Zeus, Debo. If you're not familiar with his real name, Tiny Lister. But it's an amazing film. But it seemed like Meteor Man was called, and next thing you know, you just saw black brothers and sisters pulling up, ready for the get down. And what took place after that, y'all saw the video, and I'm gonna say allegedly, because I'm not using my platform to promote black folk getting arrested. I don't know. My eyes might have been deceiving me as I watched that. You know what I mean? When I saw the white boy Crocs up his kneecaps, when I saw somebody allegedly get hit with a chair, went wild like New Jack in ECW, just took the chair, started going wild like Devon Dudley. Allegedly, because again, I think my eyes, because I do have some little cataracts or something like that, where I don't necessarily know if I saw any black folk do anything quote unquote illegal during that time. But if I did, what I saw was unity. What I saw was self-defense. And people were like, well, Phil, how is this self-defense if it's the individual who was getting beaten, if it wasn't him defending himself, but if it was other coming to his rescue? Exactly. Self-defense of community. That's a very real thing. And so it's not necessarily, I wouldn't categorize it as violence, because language is important. I look at that as self-defense by any means necessary. And clearly it was important and necessary for these folk to intervene, because these white folk were not letting up. So I saw unity there. I saw a 16-year-old brother allegedly in the water swimming over. They called him Aquaman. Right. Allegedly. Again, I'm going to keep throwing this allegedly out there, because my eyes was deceiving me. But I saw black folk come together for a common cause, which was to save this black man. it's not lost upon me. We're talking about the what year anniversary is it? Is it the 60th year anniversary of I'm not going to give out false information, but I definitely know it's anniversary because that was one of the reasons why they had the NABJ down in Birmingham, Alabama. But it's just the irony that this is taking place in Montgomery, Alabama, places where Martin and so many folk of freedom, so many black folk endured similar types of situations in the name of freedom, in the name of liberation. So for me, part of it in allegedly watching, because now I don't even know if I watched it or not, in watching this take place, there was like a sense of unbridled joy. Part of it was due to the unity that I saw. Black folk coming to help one another, especially when the narrative is continues that we're so fragmented. Now, yeah, would you like to see it in other spaces as well? For sure. But I'll take it here. If that means literally saving the life of a black man who was, again, doing what? He was doing his job. But also part of that joy that I was experiencing, that I saw so many of you all experiencing, was a result of just racial animus, this tension that's existed. And it existed pre-45. This racial animus existed pre-45. For black folk, we've endured, we've seen, we've seen Sean Bell, Latasha Harlins. We've seen so many black folk assaulted on camera, George Floyd. We see black folk getting pulled over for no reason, getting followed in stores for no reason other than the color of their skin. And so, yeah, it was a sense of relief, a sense of we got one. We finally got one. This is for what we saw in Florida with the African American history curriculum and all the nonsense that's resulted from that. It's just like, damn, we can't necessarily get you there right now, but we got this. I talk about on my socials about this was a battle, and some folk may look at it as we won. But did we win the war? What is the war? Is it a war against white supremacy? I think when we stop centering white supremacy and stop centering whiteness, and we start focusing on this idea of black liberation, then that's when we truly start winning the war. Video came out, and forgive me for chuckling, of one of the individuals who, and I believe they were all from Selma. I don't have the name of the owner of Vassar's Mini Mart in Selma, who was a participant. But what I saw was there was some white fragility, some victimization. The owner of the Mini Mart in Selma said, "Oh, I was just trying to play peacemaker." But we got video that shows him throwing punches. We saw the video circulating of the white guy, and it may be the same person, with a swollen face, swollen everything. How am I like, damn, it just got real. We saw the memes and the posts that resulted from it with this guy whose video was picked up by TMZ and all of these other places. I saw somebody say, "I'm going to tell my kids that this is Kid Ray." And I chuckle. You got to be a person of a certain age to know who Kid Ray is from Lean On Me. Like, Mr. Clark, they beating up Kid Ray in the hall. Or I'm going to tell my kids this is the Boston Tea Party. So for black folk, this idea of humor, of comedy, it was a way for us to exhale. Heck, I even learned something. I saw one post and it said, this is the inventor of the folding chair, Nathaniel Alexander. Now, although that was a bit incorrect because he wasn't the creator of the folding chair, what he did was he patented the folding chair with the bookrest behind it. And this took place in 1911. So if you're in church, if you're in choir, all you do is lift it up and you can put the book on the back of the chair. But this is important information. I never knew this brother existed. That's why we say Black 365. And yeah, it might seem like, oh, it's humorous, but no, that's pivotal information. I'm never going to forget this. And it comes out of the midst of what? Calamity. Of racism. But again, I sit and I think about what happens when the smoke clears. What happens when the memes and the jokes stop? We can't forget that this is where? Montgomery, Alabama. Where they've banned abortion rights. Where they've attempted to redistrict to disenfranchise black voters. This is the state where Bryan Stevenson, and if you're not familiar with Bryan Stevenson, he's an attorney. If you may have watched the film Just Mercy, where Michael B. Jordan plays him and Jamie Foxx is in it. Again, we'll talk about Jamie Foxx in a little bit. Where his advocacy work through his equal justice initiative freed more than 100 inmates who had unjust convictions. These black folk who were arrested for these alleged acts, they going up against this system. And so, yeah, I get the memes, I get the jokes. I laughed. But then it becomes sobering when you think about the individuals who the judges, the jurors, that these folk are going to have to come up against. Now, the mayor of Montgomery is a black man, but it's still Alabama. It's still the South. It's still racially segregated. So what's the odds that he's going to get a juror of peers that look like him? If we're talking about the individual who allegedly swung the chair all willy-nilly. What does it look like for them as business owners who were just out to have a good time but found themselves in a predicament where they have to defend themselves and the rights of others that look like them? In that case, I'm not necessarily encouraged. Call me a pessimist. I don't see a positive outcome coming from this by them engaging with a historically racist legal system. Maybe Ben Crump will get involved. Maybe other civil rights attorneys, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, even though he's retired, they'll come down and they'll do what? Stage marches in Montgomery some 60 years later. It's a wild concept when we sit and think about it. I just hope that these individuals find peace because their lives are undeniably changing as a result of the heroic actions that they took.